Now, what we call the Babas are the chief representatives of Muzaffer Efendi. They descended the staircase and they prepared the circle for the ceremony of Zikrullah. Now, when I first saw these men, I remember thinking, I have never seen men like this in all my life. These men were true mystics. These men were unlike the spiritual teachers I was used to. The years spent with Catholic priests and then various yoga teachers and New Age teachers. I don't think there was the New Age quite yet, but the beginnings of it. But these were real men, and they were real mystics. And this impressed me deeply. And then finally, Effendi came down the stairs and took his place in the circle. And I had never seen anyone who looked like Effendi. He seemed like a combination of a grand sultan and the most kindly grandfather you could ever imagine. What a beautiful human being. And I had read in that little book of mine that I had gotten in the used bookstore that one is never supposed to look into the eyes of the sheikh. But I couldn't resist. I've always been a bit of a rebel. And I looked into Sheikh Muzaffer's eyes. And what I saw was the universe. It was as if what was in his eyes was reality, endless space, the stars, the galaxies, and everything else was like a painting. The only reality was Muzaffer Effendi's eyes. The Zikrullah began, and, well, I ended. I lost myself completely in this most, well, it was like being in the Atlantic Ocean and being swept over by a gigantic wave of love, of ecstasy, of bliss. After the Zikrullah, we were all invited upstairs for chai, for tea. And everybody went upstairs. It was a narrow staircase, so it took a while for all of us to get up there. And I was one of the last to arrive upstairs. So Effendi was sitting way, way in the front, and I was way, way in the back. It's amazing that actually tea was served to everyone there. And so I observed Effendi sitting in the front. He was sitting on a small divan, and he kept pulling a dervish up to sit next to him. I did not know it at the time, but this dervish was Lex Hickson, who was to become the great Sheikh Nur Effendi. And Nur, or as we called him then, Nur Baba kept resisting Effendi's pulls. Effendi would keep pulling him up, and Nur Baba would try to sit back down, but Effendi insisted that Nur sit next to him on this couch. And then Effendi would take off his dervish cap and he would place it on Nur Baba's head, and Nur Baba would take it off and try to put it back on Effendi's head, and Effendi would take it off again and put it onto Nur Baba's head. And you could see the love. It was so amazing, even from that distance in the back of the room. But there was no sopet. And I was quite amazed, because having been in the spiritual arena, visiting various spiritual groups in my life, I had always experienced the big sell, people passing out flyers, leaflets, some kind of pitch, selling pitch, but nothing, just tea. So I started talking to some friendly fellows sitting next to me from Turkey. They were about my age. They were not Sufis, they were Muslims, and we got to know each other, and I thought they seemed to be nice fellows, so we exchanged phone numbers. And I was later to make shahada with them. Alhamdulillah. So after all this ended, I don't know how the signal was given that the evening was over. Everybody filed out down the stairs, and like I said, the stairs were rather narrow and there were many people. So by the front door, which also wasn't very big, there began to be quite a large pool of people. And as I was down on the floor level, suddenly descending from above me, a hand came down with a book. And it was clearly signaling that this book is for you, for me. So I grabbed the book, I took the book, and immediately I looked up to see and thank whoever was giving me the book. But no one was acknowledging that they had handed me the book. The flow, the stream of people just continued descending the staircase. And so I thought to myself, well, it's so busy here. It's everybody trying to get out of the Masjid. And I said, well, when I get onto the subway, I will take a look and see what book this is. Well, I made it to the subway, and I looked at the book, and it was Muzaffer Efendi's book, The Unveiling of Love. And when I opened it, I saw that it was autographed by Muzaffer Efendi. And so there and then the connection began. But I will always credit Sheikh Nur, al-Anwar, al-Jerrahi for bringing me to Sufism, for bringing me to Effendi through his beautiful radio program. And when he announced and said those words, I would like to introduce you to a Sufi Sheikh from Istanbul, Turkey. Thank you for listening and watching. God bless you all. Assalamu Alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.